Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome to today's Brand Breakthrough Show, mixed with the Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. We're bringing this powerful session to you with another amazing lady who I'm just delighted to introduce you to. We're going to be digging into her success strategies as a business coach, as somebody who really has mastered some things really well and is now leading the way in her industry for those things. Ashleigh, welcome to today's show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
You're very welcome. Well, I'm looking forward to digging into this. And for those of you that are listening or watching right now, you might notice that Ashleigh has got an accent that sounds a bit like mine. Ashleigh, where are you coming live from today?
I'm from London, actually. I'm from London, UK.
Fabulous. Well, I was born in London and I grew up between London and Essex. So we're not far away from each other. Guys and girls, welcome to today's show. I'm going to be digging into Ashleigh's strategy, how she's doing what she's doing, like what are the things that she's specifically doing well. But before we find out what you've been doing well, you must have had some stuff that has happened to you on your business growth journey that enables you to be able to speak with so much integrity to your clients and those people that you're now supporting and coaching. So let's dig into some of the things that have happened to you on your business journey that haven't gone so well, so that we can learn from those things.
Yeah. So where did it start? I think it started about 5 years ago, maybe. And I first had like the thought of, okay, I want my own business so events is my background. So obviously you can imagine COVID is not the best time for events.
No, it is not.
So event management was my baby. That was my thing. And then I was working full time and I was like, oh, I really just want more. Like I didn't know at the time what it was. And I never considered owning my own business ever. I was like, I'll just rather work my way up, be number two, but never be like number one, but never be like, self-employed or anything like that. So I kind of thought, okay, I like this. I was looking online. There was so many, like online business was like a thing. Who knew? And I was in like the wedding events industry at the time. So I kind of like started from there and thought, okay, I can do this. Like it's a market. There's a lot of people that are doing it. I got myself like a mentor. I kind of like went down the wedding route. So I had like the wedding business and I dabbled in like, I thought it was counseling, but I realized that it wasn't counseling specifically. I really enjoyed like helping and supporting people naturally, but didn't really know what it was called. I thought, oh, maybe I should be a psychologist, but then I looked at like how long you have to study. And
it sounds like you were just, I remember being in, how many of you have done Zorbing? Have you ever heard of Zorbing? Ashleigh, do you know of Zorbing?
I haven't actually, no.
It's something I never care to do again.
Oh,
when my brother's 21st birthday party, this is just a little side, we went and did this activity day and we went Zorbing, and you basically climb into a big round rubber ball and you're pushed down a hill, and they put these mounds into the hill so that it throws you around even more, and because your weight, as soon as it hits the floor, boing boing. Oh, wow. Your journey so far sounds to me like Zorbing. But I hit this bump and that's a good direction, and then I hit this bump and then I went there. But sometimes you've got to do the things you don't want to do to know what it is you do want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like when I finally found coaching, because I was like, oh, okay, this is new. This is a new industry completely. Who knew it was so like busy? And at the time, but I was still in events. So weddings was like, well, I'm in it. And I'm a person, like, if you start something, I need to like see it through. Like, I don't want to be a failure. So I don't want to like stop halfway through, get bored. And so I did everything, did the mentoring, set up the business, did the weddings. And I think when I did my first few weddings, I was like, no.
You did it and you never wanted to do it again.
No, I was like, I know what my life I want it to look like. This is not it. Like, I want a weekend first and foremost, and weddings in a period. It's seasonal, but weekends, they don't exist.
So that's a real key learning point for people who are either starting a business or who are thinking, what is my next business? I know when I walked away from my business, one of my businesses in 2013, I was burned out and I was completely broken in my soul. And I needed to think about, well, what was the next thing? What, was there going to be a next thing? Is it something that I even want to consider doing? And being in that exact same position, it does take some thought, because you've got to think about what life is it that you actually want. And what you've just said there is a really great lesson to everybody watching and listening. It's a question for you more than anything. Is your business giving you the life that you want? So actually you said something very, very interesting there, is, deciding, well, I don't want that. I don't want to be working weekends.
Well,
sometimes, I remember doing a brand strategy session with somebody a few years ago, and it really taught me a good lesson, because we were talking about, what do you want? What do you want better? What do you want? And so it was all the like positive stuff, and he just wasn't getting anywhere. And in the end, I said, like, what is it that really fucks you off about your industry? What really frustrates you? What annoys you? Well, I couldn't shut him up then. I was like, I get it, right? That was one of the points when I realized that actually, I'm doing it all the time in terms of marketing language, but actually we don't do it with our life as well. We've got to do it with our life as well. Like, what is it you don't want? And get clear about that, so that then you can do the opposite. So you knew you didn't want to work weekends.
Definitely didn't want to work weekends.
And wedding industry seems like there's quite a heavy weekend thing.
And because I was working in events full time, it was kind of like, well, do I want to extend this any further into the weekend? Do you know what I mean? So I was like, no. And then when I did it, I did one wedding specifically, and it was in Northbrook. It's where is it? It's anyway, Farnborough. That's it.
Okay.
Anyway, it's out of London, and I had to travel. So it was like a whole weekend, although it was one day. It was early morning, and I was working. I think it was like an 18-hour day. I was so tired.
The event industry is relentless.
It's crazy, and obviously, when I deliver events, it's like I am very much in control. So I need to be everywhere, and there's no sitting down, there's no like eating really. And then by the end of it, it's a nice day, of course. Like, people are getting married, it's a beautiful occasion, but it was a lot of work. And I just felt like the next day, they call it like a wedding hangover, because like your body like literally took about a week to recover. It was so, I was like, I can't, like, I think this like confirmed, no, this is not the way I want to go.
I think that's a good thing. It's not just how you think, is it? It's how you feel. And if you're watching or listening this, and you're starting to feel aches and pains in your body, or you're starting to get backache, or things are starting to not be so easy for you, that's a key things to look out for. I remember someone saying to me once that like my back was really aching. Like, how many of you suffer from backache? Right, I was suffering from backache. I thought it was just because I was on my laptop all the time. So I started trying to, be more mobile, still wasn't going. Trying to do more yoga, stretching, still wasn't going. Saw a chiropractor, it still wasn't going. And someone said to me, have you looked up the emotional connection to that pain? And I said, no, I haven't. Why? What does backache mean? And it was at my lower back. And she said, well, usually it means there's a lack of support. And I thought, whoa, because that was like a big deal for me. That, when you're growing a business, no matter what size you're at some point, you need support, or maybe you've got support and they're not doing their job. And that was what was happening with me. So not only was it, not only did I feel like I didn't have the support I needed, but I felt like I've already got the support and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So it felt like it was extra pressure for me. And that's something that I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs experience when they first start outsourcing and start bringing in admin and things like that. Do you know, when I solved that admin problem, my back pain went. So you've got to look at, and that was without any medication or anything. It just solved the emotional problem, and the body sorted itself out. So I'm a great believer in that. Like, if you're knackered and you've got this hangover, that's not a good sign of you being in the right business, is it?
No, definitely not. Like, it just was too much, and it's just no. I remember it so clearly. It's just like, definitely not. So from that time, I was still a bit hesitant with, I've built it up so much, and can I just completely change it? So it's like my comfort, because, you know, events is where most of my experience lay. So it kind of felt like, can I really risk this change? But at the same time, when I weighed it up, I was like, but I don't want to do this every weekend. Like, I just don't want to do it. So then I really went into coaching after that. I decided I'm going to pivot and I'm just going to go through it. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like. Let me just try. And I still held on to the event side. So I kind of started event coaching. So I thought, well, I have, you know, I have like events experience, and then coaching also is something that I really enjoy to do. And then, you know, up until maybe like the beginning of this year, to be fair, I decided like, it's just not working. What
was it that wasn't working? Let's get into that. What was it that was that you felt wasn't working?
I felt like, I love events. You know, it's very strategic, it's very logical, but I was always trying to incorporate mindset and confidence first, if that makes sense. And it does in coaching, yes, it comes into it, but for the type of events, you know, that I was doing, or I was trying to help people do, it was more strategy based. Like, to be fair, it's more strategies, more planning. It's very much an event manager kind of role, and I was trying to bring it together because I wanted to appease both sides of what I kind of desired and also felt like I should do. And then I just really was just like, well, no, like, I'm going with what I should do and not what I want to do. So
big lesson there. Another nice little nugget there. A friend of mine, one of our Brand Builders Club members, Judith Quinn, she wrote a book on this. She said, stop shoulding and start doing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's the biggest, like, and, you know, I was a bit
like, stop shoulding all over yourself, someone said as well. You're shoulding all over yourself. Stop it.
Yeah. And honestly, and it felt like an uphill struggle throughout the whole time I was doing the coaching event coaching business. And I just thought, is it a difference between being an entrepreneur because it's difficult, or is it just my niche? Like, I just couldn't figure out which one it was. So I was giving it a period of time, because I was like, it must be because it's being an entrepreneur. It's hard. Like, it's not meant to be easy. It is going to be difficult. But there's something that just didn't feel like aligned. I think that's like the best word to use. Yeah. And then when I pivoted into mindset and confidence, like, I think it was the best decision ever, because everything's effortless. Like, when I was doing events, it was like social media posts, like trying to think of them took forever. Trying to think about what to talk about took forever. Like, everything was just really difficult. Mindset and confidence now, it's like effortless. Like, I don't even have to think about what I'm going to post on social media, what I'm going to talk about. Like, I don't have to flows. Yeah. And it's just and it just makes me feel like this was the best choice, and I just needed to do it. 100%.
What was it that stopped you from doing it earlier, though? Because, you know, we have these ideas, and the universe, spirit, source, God, you know, all of it's prodding us.
Yeah.
And you feel the calling. You feel the calling. Yeah. So why don't we act faster? Why do we wait until we're in pain or the pressure's really on before we have to make a decision? Like, in my case, like, that was a heart attack. right? I walked away from my £7.8 million company because my body was telling me this is not right. My heart specifically was telling me this is not right. You've got to change. But I'd been getting anxiety attacks. I've been getting pains, twinges. It started off with twinges. It got worse and worse. Why did I wait until I was at the point of, you are about to have a heart attack, you need to stop what you're doing? Why do we wait? I mean, you understand the brain and things like that. Why do you think it is we wait until we're at the precipice before we actually, make that conscious decision to walk away or to do something different?
I mean, I think a lot of the time it's because it's like more of an ego thing. Like, it's comfortability. That's what it is. Because as much as your business was like hard and you were getting, your body was reacting to it, you were comfortable doing it because it's more uncomfortable walking away from it. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Yes.
It is. It's more uncomfortable. So your brain likes what you're doing, although your body don't like it, but your brain don't care. Your brain likes to keep it. It likes to be efficient. It's like it thinks of itself first. And ultimately, if you're going to do anything that's going to upset the kind of like equilibrium that it's got going
on. Ego as well. We were talking about the ego in yesterday's show.
Yeah.
And just, it wants to keep you safe, but actually it's stopping you from growing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And its job is to do that. So, it'll always do that no matter, whatever step you take that is outside of your normal. So it's always going to happen. But it's just, having the awareness that that's going to happen and tools to help you to be able to, manage it ultimately, but still do what you need. You always need to hack it. So it's just like, you're still stepping outside of it, but you're still providing it with the kind of information that it needs to feel like it's still like going at the right speed that it needs to be going at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I think one of the great things about having a coach, and I'm a big advocate of always having a coach that is, that can draw out of you the very best parts and the very best assets of yourself, all the best things, and really work on those. But here's something that I find, and maybe you find it too, is that quite often when we're in that process, almost between two worlds, where we're going through that process where it's almost like somebody needs to give us permission, or someone just needs to say, well, have you thought about? And you go, well, I have been thinking about that for a while. Somebody else gives us permission and then we go and do it. And the funny thing is, your other half at home, they go, I've been telling you to do, you never listen to me when I tell you to do that. Resonate with we lost the touch for a moment there. How many of you resonate with that whole thing? You've got somebody who's like, I've been telling you that for ages. You get the wagging finger. So did somebody give you permission? Like, who was your guru in that situation? Who was it that really gave you that final push to move?
I think, to be fair, before COVID, I was working full time in events, still an event manager. And then just before COVID, I had like a financial, I call it recession. So I was going through my personal struggle. And
wow. Before COVID.
Yeah.
So
right.
COVID literally comes along and it's just flattens everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from then, I think that was my pivotal point where I was like, I need to just be doing what I love. Like, I can't continue to just do what I think I should do. Do you know what I mean? There was just that big change where I'm like, this is not the life I want. I want to create the life and actually go forward and make it happen and not keep thinking about it for months. I'm overthinking.
Years. Some people think about it for years before they take action on it.
Yeah. So that for me was definitely my pivotal point where I'm like, enough is enough. Excuses are not getting me anywhere. and I just need to just try it out. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Because the worst has happened at this point. So what more can happen? Nothing. So I just got to go for it and see what happens. And it was a good risk.
I would just love to dive into the success strategy behind that, because, you know, obviously you found your groove now. I mean, to already be kind of on your knees as such, and then COVID comes along. I mean, COVID has destroyed businesses that were flourishing. So, I mean, it's, you know, what chance did you have really of that business being a success if it was already in trouble? So, you know, I think a lot of people at that point would maybe see that as a failure. I see that as an enormous success. I see that as, you know, sometimes, well, all the time, actually, if you really look at it, the universe is just going to keep kicking you in the ass. It's just going to keep kicking you. And it's the things you want, and you're striving and you're driving and you're trying harder and harder, and it's just not coming through. And you know, it's because you're not on path. You're not on that higher purpose pathway that you're meant to be on. Clearly you found that pathway now, which is amazing. Look at that big beam smile on your face. So take us through some of these success strategies that you work with on your clients then, because you know, well, I mean, even without COVID, shit happens, right? And we can be in business and we could be having an amazing day, and then something, bam, like cuts you off your axis, and that's it. You know, it can throw you completely off. What's your success strategy for dealing with that? Because we can say, oh, we must think positive. I'm not feeling fucking positive. So how do you get around that?
I mean, for me, like in my personally, for me to kind of go from literally like not even being able to get out of bed kind of thing, and you know, it was just, and me personally as a person, I'm generally a positive and a very smiley person, but for a period of time, like I said, I couldn't even, like, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't even know who that was. Do you know what I mean? Like, my morale was gone. I generally felt at the lowest point of my life. I've never felt like that low ever before. And from that, I was like, I this is not me. This is not who I am. And then I started to, like, because mindset was a big thing for me. And I felt that, you know, I was having very negative thoughts in the sense of like, I can't do this anymore, and I can't be bothered. Like, I don't want to go to work. Like, all these things where, I mean, it doesn't help anyone. Let's be very honest. But then I started looking at books like money mindset. So that was kind of like my first thing. I thought, okay, let me try and think about money differently, because evidently it's got me into trouble. So I need to change my thoughts about it. And then from then it was quite, I read a book called You Are Bad Ass at Making Money.
Oh, right.
I'm so like British.
She said it the British way.
Yeah.
You're a badass. Making money.
Yeah. So that was really, really good. So because I read her first book, which was like what kind of shifted me into coaching in the first place, to be honest. And then I read this one. So that really helped with just kind of focusing on my thoughts and how I think about money, which then made me start thinking about myself. It kind of opened up opportunities and like just, you know, be more open-minded rather than so closed-minded. And then I kind of then really got into looking at neuroscience, actually.
I love this stuff.
I love it too. And really understanding, like, you know, why do we think the way we do? Looking at kind of like the results that we get and the thoughts that create those results, and just being more purposeful, like, and managing your mind, because ultimately learning about why you think the way you do, why you end up in situations, why circumstances you think happen to you. Like, I would have said, oh my gosh, like my financial thing just happened to me, but it didn't. I was thinking, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. It all caught up. I couldn't manage it. And then it just like blew up in my face.
So what is that about though? Is it that you were thinking, I want this, this, and this, and therefore you got this, this, and this? Or was the real the challenge that you were thinking, I want this, this, and this, but then looking at what you didn't have and all your energy going into what you didn't have. So no matter what you're looking forward to, you're constantly reminding yourself of how terrible things are, and therefore getting more of that than getting more of that.
Yeah, it's definitely an emotional
accelerator, one foot on the brake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely an emotional thing, like especially when money's an energy, and it's something that, you know, if you give it, depending on what you're lacking, because again, lack, you then like grasp it, you like pull things towards you, you get loads of things. The behavior is very extravagant a lot of the time when you feel like you don't have. And then focusing a lot on like, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that, and then you make poor decisions based on that because it's coming from a fearful place anyway. Yeah. So about learning about the thought process and then seeing at the results that you do get. And when I looked back at the evidence, because obviously your brain looks for evidence. So if you think, oh, I don't have something, then you do things. And then in the end, the result is, well, you don't, and you're in a worse place anyway, but it's because you started thinking that you don't have it in the first place, you know? So looking at that, and yeah, I was providing myself with a lot of evidence to pick from.
And I guess the way, you know, the evidence of the way you think is actually what you have around you. What you have an abundance of is as a result of the way you think. What you have a lack of is a result of the way you think. Yeah. And it's, you know, you've just got to look around your environment, look at your friends group, look at the money in your bank account, look at your business and the things you're happy with and the things you're not so happy with. Well, you attracted those too.
Yeah, definitely. Is it gone?
I think we've got some internet gremlins. We've got storm stuff going on today. So, so when you're working with a client, is there like a process? Is a strategy? Is there something that you do? Like, what's the first step when you work with somebody? What do you do with them first?
So, as it's kind of like, it's primarily online coaches, online business owners that I work with. So it's a mixture of mindset and a bit of strategy, basically. And so we first start off with like your belief system. So it's about what you believe you are. So with anything that you want in your life, you have to believe it first. And it doesn't have to be big. It could just be like, I believe I can pick up a cup. And then you think, yeah, I can pick up a cup. You do it. And then you're like, oh yeah, I can do it. So it's kind of like that. So you have to believe in the new identity that you're trying to create or you want to create. And then we look at the values, which obviously solidifies, especially if people are struggling to make a decision. If they know where their values sit, it's a good decision tool, like a decision maker tool for them to use to kind of weigh up the options. And again, it's a bit of a brain hack where your brain is quite factual. So if you're able to provide it with facts and figures, which is like one option ticks 5 values and the other option ticks 3, you know that the 5 values is usually the one that you actually want to do, but the one that you're usually doing is the one that's got the lowest values, which is where the discomfort comes in.
Do you have an example of that? Do you have an example of how, you know, values have helped you to make a decision in some way?
Definitely with like, again, with the events and now mindset and coaching, because before, like I said, events, my value is to spend time at home, to spend quality time with my partner and my family. And for me to not have to be, you know, in an office and all these other things, like those are big values for me, and have connections with people and stuff. And I suppose with events, that part I got because I enjoyed the connection. But the other side was like, well, I'm not spending quality time with family because I'm always working. Like, it's a problem for me, huge problem. So with that, I had to weigh it up. Like,
is it going to move you towards the values that are highest for you, or take you away from them? That's a really good way of looking at your values. You know, like freedom. Freedom is like my highest personal core value. If I do anything that is going to take me away from that, I get sad and my heart starts to let me know again. You know, it's funny, like before COVID, Like I think I was only home 6 or 7 weeks the whole of last year. We were just touring constantly, running events all over the world. We were running up to 34 events every month at one point in the lead up to COVID. Well, of course, you said, like, at COVID, boom, no events.
Yeah.
And my business isn't built on events. These were just things we were doing for fun, really. But we were going touring around America and stuff. Couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And actually, I realized only by having all of this time off, not having to travel anywhere, that wasn't the business I wanted anyway. I thought that was going to be fun. I didn't find it fun. I found it exhausting. I was just like, if I don't see another plane again for the next 10 years, I think it's going to be too soon. And sometimes you need that kick in the pants to also just reevaluate. Hang on, where am I in this circle of life? Where am I? Am I doing this for me? Am I doing this for my family? Am I doing this for some other reason?
Yeah.
What is that reason? And if that reason goes against your values, then you're just going to keep getting more kicks in the pants, right? You're going to be pretty bruised.
Yeah. Definitely, 100%, 100%.
So you go through values. So we've got, like, what are your beliefs around what you're doing? You've got to believe in it to achieve it. And we look at the values. What are the values that are driving you to make all the decisions that you're making on a daily basis and in your business as well? So what would be that third step?
So then that's kind of like the first. It's quite a big one.
That is the first step. A slave driver, this one, isn't she?
And then, so we then move into, like, the mission. So obviously, because it's averagely online business owners, it's about what you want your life to look like. So big picture. So, what you want your life to look like. You need to know where you're going. Get really embody that kind of, emotion, to know that every single step you do, every little post you post on Facebook or on social media, it's one step closer to you being and creating that life that you decided that you want. And to be really vivid with it, like, you know what it is. Am I back? Oh, yeah. You need to know exactly what it is.
If we go, it'll be my end, not yours. So just keep swimming.
Okay. You need to know exactly what it is in order for you to know that you're going to get it. So if there is, like, a particular stage, because quite a lot of coaches, they want to, do public speaking, speak on stages. And they say, like, what kind of stage, where is it you want to, is there an event specific that you're like, oh, I'd love to speak there? Then that's what, vision board kind of thing. That's what you're putting down on there. And what is the impact on your life? Because everybody wants a business, but the money's good, but money is just paper. What does it mean to you? What impact and benefit is it going to have for the people around you, for you personally? And does it also light you up? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to be aiming for? So we get really, really clear on that. And then we start moving into, like, the strategy side of things, which is, like, the goal. So you have your 12-month goal. We then break it down to, at the moment, it's to the end of the year, so like a 5-month goal. And then we break down to the 90-day goal, 30 days, and then 7 days. So that you have, like, a clear, everything is contributing to something. And then you can look at it. We have daily work with the mindset. And I basically just coach on everything that comes up that stops that person from being able to hit their goals. Because a lot of the time, it's not a strategy thing, it's mindset. It's the thoughts that we have. That's the problem.
That's what I was going to say is, we can go download a business plan. You can go onto Google and download this. This is not a new way of doing things. It's not a new process. But the thing that's going to stop you from achieving all of that is not having that person who sometimes cares more about the result than you do, because some days you're just going to go, why the fuck am I doing this? Right? And you just caught in a moment of, oh, I remember, because I want to impact on all these people and I want to do this. Oh, yeah, I remember. But it's very difficult when you're in that goldfish bowl, even the most positive person like you and I, I'm relentlessly positive, but there are days where, it's really interesting. I'm surrounded by the most amazing people, I have to say, and they'll just, even though they're not in the same place as me, they'll just sense it. And I don't know what it is. They'll send me a Facebook message. Hey, how's it going? Or my coach or my mentors will just drop a little message on the day that I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, how did you know? Have you got a camera? And it's just like, do you know, it's enough to have other people caring about your business on that same journey that you're on.
Definitely.
But when you don't have that coach who is invested in you, like we think that a coach costs us money, but actually that coach is invested in us.
Yeah,
our duty to invest in them so they can invest in us. And it's a two-way commitment, isn't it, having that coach supporting you? Do you find that sometimes your clients are, you know, they're not going as fast as they said they want to go, they're not going as fast as they said, but then as soon as you're like, you say something to them, they're like, oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yes, they are always wanting to go faster than they are currently all the time. But then I question, like I had a client yesterday and she had that same thing, like, I'm not where I should be, I want to go further. And I was like, but what are you running from? Because at this point, like that's fear. That's not like I'm abundantly waiting. Like, what is the rush? So what are you running? What are you scared of for you to be rush?
And that's an interesting question.
Like, and that's a fear-based sentence. Like that's
so. Do you tend to find that then, if somebody's really rushing, if they're wanting success quickly, do you tend to find the mindset behind that is because they're moving away from something rather than moving towards something?
Yeah. So sometimes it's like it's usually a fear of failure. So they're like, I just want to get over and done with now. I just want to go. Or it's like they don't have something. So if it's like a money thing, like I just want to make money quickly, but then what's the rush? Because when you're doing something that you are passionate about, you have value, money will always come to you because you're coming from an abundant place where you are happy regardless to what it is that you're receiving, but you're doing what you love. So naturally it will flow to you. But if you're like, I need this, I need this, I need this, it's a very tense type of energy, and nothing good ever comes from anxiety, ever.
No, that kind of energy will literally bleed over everything.
It does. It does. And it creates more, and it multiplies very quickly.
Negativity has friends.
Yeah.
It goes and knocks on the door and says, you want to come out for a beer? And yay! Next thing, you've got a whole pity party.
Definitely, 100%.
So let's get into your confession, right? So we've talked about a lot of things today. This is the Global Confession Show after all. So what confession are you going to bring to our little kind of global booth, our global confessions cupboard, where it's something that you don't really talk about very often because it's something that's personal to you. And it's also something that you don't ever want anyone else to go through, that like you recognize that everybody has their lessons to go through, but this is something you went through that is unnecessary for other people to learn. What would that be?
I think for me it's very much like the financial thing. Like I generally, like ultimately got into debt basically. And I had a good reason. I bought a house, but that's still as an excuse also. Do you know what I mean? Because I could have spent differently. Like my habits were not good for someone that just bought a property and there's a lot of change happening. But I almost was like, well, a house is just additional to my life. Like I don't need to change anything. But I did, evidently. And it was just not needed. Like the things that I was buying was just to be like, I wasn't happy with my job. I wasn't doing my business the way I wanted it to be. So in order to kind of overcompensate for those things, instead of looking at them and analyzing them, I kind of just was using spending to make myself feel a bit more better. It didn't need to be like that because in the end it's kind of, full circled, and now it's a problem that I then had to deal with. That
we'll always find you. Yeah. And what would you say is the real lesson there then? What's the takeaway from that?
I think it's definitely following what was pulling me. So I ignored the internal pull of my passion, basically. And I think I can't say that now because everything happens for a reason. But if I had followed it maybe a year ago, I probably wouldn't have, been in that situation because I wasn't emotionally trying to, overcompensate for something I didn't have. So I think for me, that's probably what it was just to do what I loved and not what was always logical, if that makes sense. So I was doing a lot of shoulds.
I like that. I'm going to get that on the screen. Do what you love, not what is logical.
Yeah, because I'm a logical person, unfortunately. And everybody is, because your brain, one side is quite creative, the other side is quite, factual and logical. And I was going with that side because it made sense. But what makes sense doesn't make sense for your heart, like for what you really, what really lights you up, that keeps you fulfilled and, your cup overflowing kind of like, feeling.
Yeah. I think for those of you that are watching or listening in now, if there's any part of you that you're doing that you're not loving, and you're doing it because someone else says that it's a good thing to do, or you're doing it because you think it's something you should do, then I think it's time for you to evaluate, is that your logical mind that's keeping you there? Like your logical mind saying, well, I can't possibly leave that job, or I can't possibly walk away from that client. I can't possibly sack that customer. I couldn't possibly start this, or I couldn't possibly create that because, right? And then your brain, like you said earlier in the interview, it's going to look for all the evidence of the because.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
What is it? I want to know from each of you, like listening, watching in now. I want to know, what are you feeling called to do right now that is different than what you're doing? Like, if there's something that you've been thinking about doing for a while and it's pulling you, but you keep putting it off because there's something more important, or something needs that money first, logical, something, all these things. Like, what if money was no object and you could only succeed, if failure didn't exist and it wasn't a thing, and failure doesn't really exist, does it? Because we win or we learn. But if none of that existed and you had no boundary and nothing, like there was only success ahead of you, what would you be doing differently to what you're doing now? What would your answer be for that, Ashleigh?
That's a good question. What would I be doing different to now? To be honest, I'm very much in a good place. Like, I don't feel that I'm not doing something at this point. Like, I should be, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that. Like, maybe 6 months ago, I would have said, I need to be doing coaching. But now I can't say anything. I mean, I really want to go on holiday. I don't know if that's...
Like, someone's calling me to go on holiday. Definitely.
Like, with COVID and all, I don't know if that, like, I actually should be going there, but it's what I want to do.
So as we start to wrap up today's show, what's next for you? Like, what you got going on? Have you got projects going on? What's happening? Tell us what's happening in Ashleigh's world right now.
Yeah, so I am going to be doing a small launch in a few weeks, and then another one in October. But I'm doing a 4-day live training all about how to stop sabotaging and start signing clients. So that will be taking place on the 20th of July. It's all online. And that's my next kind of project, should we say.
Love it. But how do we find out more about that? Is there a link we can go to, or something you can send us to?
If you come to my Facebook page, I have a Facebook page, and then I will send it to you. It's Ashleigh Frater Coaching. And there'll be something on there, and then you'll be able to opt into it. So you can go on the waiting list. But that's kind of all that I've got going on at the moment for now, which is good.
Because I think you know, that there will be people on this or listening, watching in. You know, you might be watching or listening to this 2 years after this interview has actually gone live. So, so by then I would imagine that it's all up and running and you've got it all going. So just go and connect with Ashleigh. Just go and connect with her on her Facebook page. And they can find out more about you there. So is there anything that you would like to wrap up with today? I'm just going to check and see if we've got any comments on the other. We're going live via 5 streams right now, and I only get to see one of them. But no, I think we're all good. So yeah, I've just put your details up there, and for those of you that are listening rather than watching, it's just Ashleigh Frater Coaching on Facebook. So yeah, anything that you would...
Oh gosh. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me? So, oh gosh, is it coming back? Oh, can you see me? Can you hear me? I feel like you can hear me. Okay, am I back?
We're all on the edge of our seats.
Okay.
The grand finale.
So I think my biggest thing is for everybody to just, you know, if they want to, if they're not happy with the current results that they got in their life, have a look at how you're thinking on a daily basis. If you feel like you're thinking, oh gosh, I can't, like that, oh, or I need to, or I should, or I have to, all of those kind of like thoughts, those questions you're asking yourself, try and ask yourself other open-ended questions like, what do I like, or what is possible? Like, I feel like curiosity creates motivation. So asking questions that make you generate the feelings of being curious, it will make you be creative. It will make opportunities just appear because your mind is now open and not so closed. Yeah. So it's definitely looking at the questions you ask yourself, especially if your results currently, you're not happy with them and you would like them to be changed. And yeah, that's
wow. Well, thank you so much, Ashleigh, for taking the time to stick around with us, come and hang out on today's show. Thank you to those of you that have watched or listened in for today. If you've got questions, if you want to connect with Ashleigh, go to Ashleigh Frater Coaching on Facebook. That's her Facebook page, and connect directly. And Ashleigh and I met through a different Facebook group, through another Facebook group. So you know, it's proof, isn't it? You know, the social networking side of things, it works. And in meeting just amazing people from all around the world, even those that are living in the same place you grew up, which is kind of cool. Thank you, Ashleigh. Thank you to those of you watching and listening. Have an amazing evening or a morning. It could be a morning, it could be an afternoon for you, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. Take care, have an amazing day, and we'll look forward to seeing you same time, same place for the final show of this week tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.